Welcome to Moving Through and Beyond, a podcast dedicated to sharing inspired journeys of redefining life, vision, and purpose after immense hardship and grief. My goal with this podcast is to give you hope and to let my guest journeys inspire you to make the choice to keep looking up. I'm your host, Carey Conley. Hi, everyone. This is Carey Conley. I'm the host of Moving Through and Beyond podcast. And my job is to bring on some people that I cannot wait to introduce you to because they are doing some pretty powerful things in the world, have been through a lot in life, have overcome, and are just now using their time to make a difference. And one of these people I was blessed to be introduced to at the beginning of this year is this lovely woman, Bobbi DePorter. Bobbi, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. Great to be here with you, Carey.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny how we met. It's like one person introduced me, the next person, that person introduced me, chain of connections you and I have. And the reason I found you or we got aligned was because of an organization that you have co-founded called CAYS. And I'm going to have you talk a lot about that here in a minute. Because somebody heard me speak at an event last October. And I was speaking about how passionate I am about teaching kids about vision and purpose and why they matter because of the loss of my son to suicide years ago. And they said, you know what, you need to know this organization called CAYS because this is what they're teaching the kids. So I've gotten involved, got to come and speak at a high school that you guys organized a big event last month. It was a great success. I thoroughly enjoyed it and just learn more about it. So I'm just so honored to be a part of it. Bobbi, you have no idea.
It seems like I've known you a very long time now. No, it seems like years.
Yeah, it really does. Because, 1 minute I'm just talking in front of a bunch of people I don't know. The next minute I'm on these meetings that you guys have every month with some pretty amazing people. And then I come and speak at your event last month. Yeah, it feels like we've done a lot in a short span of time.
We have.
Yeah. So you have a long history in the educational world, right? And I would love for you to share a little bit about that, Bobbi.
Well, I get interested in how people learn because I know it would have made such a big difference for myself. And what really drives me is when I see youth, really discover about themselves and how to learn. And so I started a company 40 years ago just supporting youth called SuperCamp. And when we teach students learning how to learn, how to be an excellent learner, most of them say, why didn't anybody teach that to me before? Because it makes all the difference. So I think we assume a lot about our youth. Like they'll just naturally pick up skills or mindsets or, in this case with CAYS, their purpose. And, when we talk with high school students, so many of them say, nobody's asked me before. Nobody's had a discussion with me about what I want. Who am I? And that makes all the difference in a person's life. I focused on middle and high school, and that's what I'm doing with CAYS as well. And it's a time when students, are at a place that they are looking at their future and who they are and who they're going to be. So. Yeah. Well, my story is that I married young. I married at 19 and I had 2 children right away. It was what was expected back then, and it was a different time, a different era. So I was very happy doing that until I recognized there was something inside of me in my gut that I wanted to do something more. And it wasn't that I loved being a wife. I loved being a mother. I loved all those things. But something was driving me. And that's something I really listen to now is when your gut is telling you something, there is an intuition. And sometimes we just have to be quiet enough to listen and then take action on something. Yeah.
So what did you start doing?
So I joined a new real estate and investment company in San Francisco. And it was, in the 70s, it was a heyday in San Francisco. But when I went into interview, there were 3 male partners. And one of them, when I came in, said to the other partner, why did you bring in a housewife with no experience? And then they started to talk about how much I was going to have to make in commissions, like minimum of 30,000 a year, or I wouldn't be there. And so there was this intimidation type things. But I always remember, and this is something, I was so clear on what I wanted. Whatever was said just went right through me. And then when I started there, I actually made a deal my very first day that was a $30,000 commission to me on my. So it's like, okay.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was very successful. We were buying real estate, Victorians, renovating them, selling them. And in a couple of years, I'd made a couple of $1 million. And I said, not bad for a housewife with no experience. Yeah, and they made me a junior partner. Um, and then I started a business school for entrepreneurs. It's still going today. I know you're aware. And that when I was doing that, there was a professor that wrote business cases for Harvard, and he had a way of making money in the stock options. So, we were doing all this good work, and so it was like, oh, here's a way to make money to support the good work we're doing. So we put in a lot of money, and we were making a lot of money, and it was all with, we're out there changing the world and changing people's lives, and this is what we were about. But we ended up growing so big, we actually had a seat on the Chicago Board of Auctions at that time. It got so big, and guess what happened? We got so big that we affected our own system, and everything crashed in a short. So I went from having millions and family and all that to losing everything in a very short period of time. So it was within weeks. So I look at that of, taking away like all my possessions, my house, and I think about, okay, I'll be okay if I can just keep this, and it would be taken away. And went through that whole period of things leaving. One thing they didn't take, it was my car. And so, when I really went and stayed with a friend to heal myself, I was a lot of loss at that time, which, to top it off, I ended up getting divorced, and my children ended up living with my husband. Um, and it was that sense of I had done something really bad and had that internal, I'm not worthy, I don't deserve. And so really going quiet, and I stayed and just healed myself. And this is the biggest learning of my life, is feeling like they can take away, and I can list all the things they can take away, but I got at such a deep level that they could not take away me. They could not take away who I was. They could not take away my values. They could not take away my vision. It's impossible for people to take that away unless you let them. And so knowing the importance of who you are, what you stand for, what you want to create in the world, that that was my biggest learning. And we had made such a difference for people that they were coming forward. We want programs. So we continued, and then they said, we need something for our youth. Our youth need help, our children. So I got a loan on my car, which was the one thing they hadn't taken away from me, and started the first SuperCamp program. And there was such a transformation with the youth, and the parents kept saying, we want more. So I ended up growing that for 40 years, and we were in over 14 countries, as well as programs within the US and in schools. So we did quantum learning in schools. So out of that, I did a lot with youth and very focused on that, and wrote quite a number of books. And Stedman, this is, I don't know, 25 years ago, I don't know when it was, noticed and called. And so we started conversation and became friends. And it was always like we were going to do something together. And years would go by, and then Stedman came to the office, and we whiteboarded, and he said, what if we, not just you and I do something, what if we brought in the community? So that was almost 12 years ago now, and we started this community Community Alliance for Youth Success called CAYS, and we're doing that. And so I get to continue, working with youth and making a difference for them. So, and my core business, they did sell to long-term staff. So I am all in with this youth success program and making a difference.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing your story. There's so many nuggets that you just dropped that I want to bring back. One, you said that when you went into the real estate office and they had no belief in you at all, you said it didn't even land on you because your vision was bigger. And I love that you said that, because I tell people that all the time when I speak. The way you get through rejection, disappointment, things failing. You know, my first business, I stepped into network marketing, Bobbi, over 30 years ago. And that was a time where people were like, you're doing what? You're thought I was crazy. And, you know, so much rejection, so many people quitting on me throughout my journey. And the way that I got in my office every day and kept doing what I was told to do was because my vision of what I wanted for me and for my family was bigger. I just didn't hear any of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that's a really important point to bring up, especially if we're talking to young adults right now, because they stall out. They get stuck. They don't want to make any move in any direction, because I've talked to enough of them. And the kids that I spoke to at the high school last month when I came for the conference you did, they are so afraid of going in any direction of their dreams because they feel like if they move forward in any direction, what are people going to think? What if they fail? What if they get stuck? They're paralyzed. So I think it's important they need to know that their vision can override everything.
Yeah. And a big part of the program is expression. It's one to know. Sometimes I say, know who you are and show who you are. It's one thing to know it, but if you don't talk, I was quiet when I was in school growing up. And someone said, you know, people don't know what you're thinking. They don't know who you are unless you talk, unless you tell them, unless you express in some way. So a big part of them is knowing their journey, who they are, and then talking about it and telling others.
Yeah. Communication is so big and so needed in this world right now because our kids are becoming so isolated. Statistically, there's a report that somebody sent me the other day about what demographic, what age group is the loneliest right now, and it's the kids. They're isolating. Very scary. Right?
And they certainly the pandemic had a huge impact.
Yes, for sure. The other thing that you brought up was that when you were losing everything, you knew you needed to heal. And I think so many people, me included, we really don't honor that very well. We just keep running with scissors, Bobbi.
Yes.
Right? Just keep busy, just keep swimming, just, you know, it'll all work out. Eventually it catches up with you. What did you do to help in your healing process?
One was being quiet. I was staying at a friend who had a basement area. It was on top of a hill. And it just had beautiful views and greenery around. So just staying quiet. I did notice that sometimes it was easier for me to talk to strangers than people that were close to me because there's so much interaction history with those that are close that I was just noticing that and giving myself time, you know, just giving myself time and reflect and you know, really being aware of how I was feeling and how I was reaching out and who I could reach out to and feel nurtured by.
That's interesting. You know, when I lost my husband and my son, especially with my son, I went inward as well. I did the things that I knew I needed to carry out. I had a lot of clientele at that point, and I was getting ready to wrap them up for the year, and I finished up with my clients. But other than that, I just kind of hid out. And like you, it was much easier for me to talk to people that did not know my entire history than it was to talk to some of my own family members.
Yes.
Yeah. When I felt the need. And I also have to tell you, I learned a lot about who I could trust with telling my story. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. My daughter and I co-authored a book called Keep Looking Up, and one of the chapters is finding your super safe people. We had to learn to find those people that we could be really safe around, and it's not usually the people you think.
I know, because I have two sisters. I'm very, very close to them. And for some reason, there was just so much history that I didn't reach out. And they didn't know all that was going on with me. So they, later felt so bad that they didn't reach out more, but I just couldn't.
I really do. So let's talk a little bit more about CAYS and what's behind it and how it's structured, what the goals are, et cetera. So CAYS is an acronym, again, you guys, for Community Alliance for Youth Success. They created curriculum for the educators, the teachers, and people who are running empowering groups for kids to bring in modules, teaching courses for the kids on vision and purpose. So can you expand a little bit more on that?
Yes, and it's so meaningful because we know the difference that it makes when kids know their purpose. And in schools today, there's just a lot of isolation or students just saying, I have so much to-dos and assignments. I don't get beyond there. So we wrote, the curriculum is written to match standards, so it's easy for teachers to weave it into their curriculum and to check off standards and things that they need to do. So the curriculum is really, it's in 3 stages, and they start with discovering their purpose and then developing purpose and living their purpose. So that they do a lot of self-reflection and assessments. And the beauty of the curriculum too is that it's been designed with a lot of pre-work, a lot of thinking about what you're going to be exploring, and then the debriefs and the paired shares and the talking after. So it's really about going deep, because you can go and take an assessment and then put it on the shelf. It's really about having that conversation, going deep, having the discussions, writing about it, expressing about it, and seeing how it matches in your life. Does it fit or not? Because sometimes it could come up with, taking your interests and coming up with something that's your purpose that doesn't really feel like a fit. So there's a lot of discussion, a lot of going deep, a lot of, does this fit for you, talking about it and going deep. And what it does is also allows the students to get to know each other on a deep level. And there's, one of our needs, our human needs, is that sense of belonging. And when you're sharing about your life and you're going deep about, here's my purpose and what I'm about, and other students are sharing, that it helps with the isolation, because students can feel so alone. This is just me and people don't really care. But then, that other student is feeling the same way, that I'm feeling. And they do get that bond that helps them go through. And there's so much research on, there's more success. In the first year, it was implemented at Kearney High School, who we work with and who you're aware, and we're there with this, is that the high increase in the number of students that went on to college after graduation after this, because students are seeing their purpose, where they fit in, what their interests are, what career direction. It just makes more purpose for them to go to college and want to go on.
So this event that we're talking about, I was one of 30 speakers that Bobbi brought to this Kearney High School she's talking about. And we did workshops with the kids. And what was interesting was to see how they responded to even first being told that they could create a life of whatever they wanted and that they mattered and that they had a purpose. They just had to think about it. Like I usually get them to think 3 years out. So I got them to think about, okay, how old will you be in 3 years? And what do you want your life to look like? And what do you see yourself doing? And until you have a curriculum like you've created, nobody's ever asked them those questions before. So they don't know the how, which is what I was saying when I was muting, is they don't have a game plan they can follow because they don't have a vision first. Right?
Yeah, it makes all the difference for them.
Right. But I have to tell you, most of the kids were pretty quiet during my workshops. which is a whole different crowd for me. Historically, I've been in front of a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners and, people like that are craving the interaction and the work and all the things. So I kind of wondered to myself, I wonder if they're hearing anything I'm saying. But I'm being told, and you are now validating this, that they're listening.
They are listening. They're reflecting and coming back and going deep within themselves. We got great feedback afterwards. And that whole Kearney with the Discover Your Purpose curriculum, it was developed by one of the teachers there, Candace E., and she put together and has done this youth success conference for a few years now. And it's just wonderful. One is, I want to say, the engaging the community to come in, you come in, others coming in. And we had 50 speakers there with 1,000 students. And what a message that sends to the students. It sends the message that I am important. There are adults that are giving of their time to come here and speak with me and, to listen. And afterwards, there was great enthusiasm with the students, just saying it was really an awesome day for them. It was all prepared like a professional conference where they had their name badges and they had programs and they selected sessions to go to. So, it just made quite an impression on them.
Yeah, I loved how that was handled, actually, that they got to select the ones they wanted to be in. To be honest with you, I was really thinking, okay, what if I'm there and nobody shows up? So I was thrilled to see that they liked it.
Yes. Yeah, and they want to learn. They do want to hear and they do want to learn. And, bringing the community in, we always heard, business people, they're busy in their business. Yeah, I will have to support youth, but I'm busy, so I'm not taking the time to do that. And I'm don't know how, where do I go? And I'm busy, so why would I? So then, when we create a program here, come work with us here, come meet with a student. And we've done mentoring too, where we have met even before pandemic in person, knee to knee with an adult and a student, and just sharing. And you're learning both ways. That the mentor is sharing a lot, and the student shares, and the mentor is learning from the student. So a beautiful thing, and it just gives a platform to make it happen. Oh, um, they went deeper in who they are. It really brought to light, who do I want to be in the world? What kind of career? What am I doing? So there is ongoing conversation at the school. It didn't just end with the day and all the presentations. They are continuing, going deeper with what they heard and how they're implementing different things in their life. And the curriculum is designed too, where they continue to keep reflecting. What did you learn? What actions are you taking? Checking back in.
That's so great. So what's the next moves for CAYS? Bobbi, how can people get involved, and what are some of the goals that you have now?
Yes. Well, we have our website, cayspurpose.org, and that we have been working on the model at Kearney High School. And so now we're at the place to take it out to other schools. So we are looking for schools that want to embrace Discover Your Purpose. And then we're also looking for partners and sponsors to make that happen. A beautiful thing is when a business or a corporation nearby a school can adopt a school so that they're supporting them with their training and curriculum, and that the employees can go and be mentors with the students at the school. So many inspirational stories about being involved with the students. We usually put them together with a mentor and about 3 students, and then it's a curriculum where they go through questions and where everyone answers the question and just go deep in the learning and sharing.
That is so good. So, so good. Well, I know that I'm aligned with you for a purpose, because I've been talking for the longest time about wanting to create something to bring into the schools about vision and purpose, right? And thought I was going to do it all on my own, but here you guys were.
But we found each other.
So it's all been done. So can be a mentor, can use the curriculum. I know that some of the curriculum you can download for free right off the website.
Yes, I've done it myself. I just downloaded and went through it because I wanted to know what it is, and you learn.
I love it. Possibly be a corporate sponsor, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and bringing it into the schools. This is the part that excites me the most, that I hope that I get to be a big part of, is helping you guys get the curriculum around the country.
Yes. You know, it takes a visionary. There's wonderful school administrators out there and those that see the vision, because it's a commitment. You know, you go deep. It's not like just going and, oh, I did one assignment or I did one workshop and leave and nothing more happens, because it influences the whole culture of the school. And it's a mindset. It's a language that gets adopted in the school of what they're working on. And so it goes deep, and that, you know, to be a model school is one where they adopt the curriculum and teachers are trained to deliver it into their classes so it's seamless. And then we have events. You know, we've talked about the Youth Success Conference that we recently had that happens in the spring. And in the fall, we have something called a Discovery Dialogue, where we have a panel of adults that have been successful in life, created something, and then the students ask them questions. And it's great that it's the students asking them questions, and they opened up and were so vulnerable about their life and insecurities they had in high school and what they had to get over it. And students came up to them afterwards just saying, wow, you were speaking about me, you know, and to hear it from you and look to see what you have accomplished in life, it just meant to them.
They need those role models so badly right now.
Yes. And then when they tell their story and express, we also went in with the seniors do a final defense where they have a project they've been working on. And we went in, you know, to be an audience, and they had judges that you would go around and the students would express and tell about their project. And then we gave them feedback, and it was, you know, that they know that the community is in their school with them. They're not isolated.
Well, this is truly a grassroots movement, Bobbi.
And get it out there everywhere.
Yes. I just am on the same mission you are, of changing the trajectory of how we're raising up these little humans.
Yes.
And the biggest missing link is that we have not been teaching them how to be an authentic visionary living on purpose. And so I'm loving to being a part of this and helping grow CAYS, and thrilled that you could be on with me today to share your story so transparently. I appreciate that. And to educate us more about CAYS.
Yes. I know. I felt so much growing up and just want to give back to youth, because you get hooked when you see the difference that it makes for them.
Yes. Agreed. Agreed. Well, I appreciate you so much, Bobbi. I appreciate your friendship and what you're doing, and especially taking the time to come on with me today.
Yes. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of Moving Through and Beyond. I'm Carey Conley, and I'm here to remind you to keep looking up. If you found this episode inspiring or helpful, please share it with a friend or a family member. In order to be successful on this mission, I can't do it alone. Connect with me at www.careyconley.com, and don't forget to sign up for my weekly Do It On Purpose newsletter. Let's build this life-giving vision movement together to end this epidemic, save lives, and create purpose.